Great, another deadbolt hunter. Handsome Jack's been busy.
Hi guys, and welcome back to SwitchUp. A big thanks to 2K for providing all the review copies of the games that we've looked at today. I may be sounding sprightly, but I think I'm about to die. This is it, the final hurdle, the last stage, the end leg, the last run. Let's get this Borderlands performance review out of the way so that I can go comatose, unconscious, possibly deceased. Now, I've only got around to doing Borderlands 2 so far, so you're going to have to suffice with this review. But as far as I understand it, they managed to standardize performance across the 3. Now, obviously I'll have to download the other ones just to double check that, but we can go and get a decent idea of what the other ones perform like here. We're also going to look at split screen, which is something I didn't even know was on this one, but I accidentally stood on the other controller and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, the screen split. Is this one Handsome Jack or is it Claptrap? Let's find out.
Bully bongs!
First up then, let's have a look at the options and the controls. And straight off the bat, you notice the ability to change the X and Y axis, which is a nice touch, as well as, yes please, gyro aiming. And the developers even went so far as to say that they completely rebuilt gyro for this game. So they worked on it from the ground up, which is a nice thing to see. Now, why they didn't then implement that in BioShock, I'm not really sure. It doesn't make much sense at all. Hopefully they'll be able to patch it in along the way, because it works flawlessly here. Unfortunately, my son smashed my Joy-Con, so you'll notice a bit of shake, but that's because I'm using unofficial Joy-Con, and if you've ever used those things, my word, the gyro in them is terrible. There are different button configurations if you want to do that, but the main thing for me was that gyro. And I know some people are going to be glad to hear that it's activated all the time. You don't hold down a button for it to kick in. It's always there. So if you crank the sensitivity up, you could essentially use it to replace the analog stick for the vast majority of the time. One other nice touch that's good to see is the implementation of a very robust HD rumble. You can actually feel the individual shots as you fire, and they're quite granular. HD rumble, let's be honest, it's a bit of a gimmick, but when it's done well, you do notice it, and I noticed it here. Just don't expect to be shaking your controller to find out how many bullets you've got left. My only minor gripe is that perhaps they could tweak the dead zone a little bit with these motion controls, as it can get a touch shaky, but that could just be the 28 hours lack of sleep I've had. So the moment you've been waiting for then, it's down to the performance. And much like BioShock, this time we're running at a locked out 30 frames per second. And this also extends to the split screen, which is incredible. It really does work flawlessly. You simply press a button on the other controller and yep, you both pop up on screen at the same time. What was interesting though is that if your second player doesn't have a Nintendo Online account, then you have to take your game offline. However, if you had two of you with a Nintendo Switch Online account, then you could potentially take your split screen online and join other players, which is again a lovely little touch. Now, another nice thing, which I couldn't confirm on the other games but definitely can here, is that the developers managed to get the game running at native resolution, which is a real win. But as with all things on Switch, the sacrifice seems to have been anti-aliasing, with some of the edges being a touch jaggier than I would like to see, but nothing to write home about really. Now, textures in Borderlands, if you haven't played the series before, have this cartoony, almost cel-shaded look, so it's not an area that you need to look too closely at, but what I will say is that there is a slight decrease in quality in comparison to the PC game, and it's noticeable to me, but it still looks okay.
Gotta keep those bully bongs at bay.
Lighting effects are all here, God rays are intact, dynamic shadows, and enemy models look, well, just like they always have done. Frame pacing seems pretty decent for the most part. I haven't noticed any real stutters, and everything's coming across quite nice and smooth. As with the other titles we've looked at today, the music and audio have all been brought across nicely. There's no huge downsampling, and everything sounds nice and crispy.
Onward, seeing eye minion! Let me know if I'm gonna run into anything.
It is nice to see that they haven't had to bring the draw distance in or anything silly like that. like the old N64 days, and this is the full-fat Borderlands experience that you'd come to expect. Of all the games I've played this evening, I'd say this is the one that would have benefited most from 60 frames per second, but in all honesty, I'm more than happy with those 30 locked out, and the fact that that carries over to the split screen is a real win. There are times where you notice that it's on the Switch. The Switch has this problem of being able to quickly load assets. Things like when you go to select your character and there's just that delay before your character actually loads up on the screen. It's not a big deal, but it's something that I see. Overall, I think they've done a great job in terms of the performance, and you couldn't really ask for much more than this in handheld form. So what do I make of the games? Well, I've completed the first one, second one, the pre-sequel. I haven't played the third one yet, so I can't really give you my opinions on that, but thankfully it's not on the Switch anyway. Not thankfully, actually, I'm quite upset. They're excellent games, but they very much require multiplayer for me. Even just playing through this small section on my own doesn't carry quite the same weight. There's something amazing about unlocking one of those weapon chests and finding a rare gun, snatching it up and then showing it off in front of your pals. So if you can get a group of mates on this one, or if it's your first time playing, I'd strongly recommend don't play it on your own. Try and find people to play with. Now, with that in mind, we do have our community Discord channel, and I'll be setting up a Borderlands page over there, so if you want to join that, I'll make sure to ping the Discord link down somewhere. But as far as the shooting mechanics go, I really enjoy the RPG elements, things like getting the headshot criticals, which can just about be achieved with the gyro aiming. You can actually be a good player here, you don't have to just spam the buttons like a crazy person. I do miss the mouse controls a touch, I'm not going to lie, but I think for veteran controller users, you're going to have no problem at all. The large-scale boss fights have always been fun, and I'm sure there's some inspiration that went towards some of the Destiny mechanics here, because just getting a group of you and ganking on a boss feels incredible. Man, I know I'm tired, I just used the word ganking. I've gone back to 99. Oh boy. So that brings us to the end of our performance reviews for today. We've had our BioShock, which was absolutely incredible. Amazing performance, go and check that out. The link will be down in the description. Then we had XCOM 2, which wasn't quite as good, but still for me more than playable. I'd quite happily play it like the way it is at the moment, and to be honest, I am. It just needs a patch for a few weird graphical anomalies, I'd say. Other than that, if you enjoyed the content, then please do consider subscribing as we head towards 100,000 subscribers. Let's like charge towards it rather than like crawl over the line and then roll over and die. So yeah, if you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button. Remember, we are giving away 2 Geotech controllers. If you've got Twitter, then follow us at SwitchUp G, and all the information is on there. And we give away 2 copies, or is it 3 copies of Children of Mortar every single week in our sales video, which goes out hopefully on Sunday. A big thanks to our patrons who support us each and every month. We really do appreciate it. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya! Oh, my C is even broken. That is upsetting. Let's try that again. See ya!